I was very interested with what
Hmm.
Rathi said about how he has outgrown Ghibli. I think we should start with that.
Okay.
So the initial feelings of why I felt that I have outgrown Ghibli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So couple of points in that regard. Firstly was that mainly all the stories focused around some character coming of age, and then him or her being naive at the start and then being somewhat more educated towards the end.
Exactly. Yeah.
So as such, that felt to me like I don't know what to use the word, but a little bit of a shallow enterprise, because like all you have is one boy girl who gets stuck in some weird situation. Then to top it off, there's this always a magical element associated. So you'll either have animal stalking, you'll have some weird creatures, or you'll have a world that's just not possible. And in this world, somehow the character gets stuck, which in itself is a little bit cliched. And in some of the movies, I won't say all, but the flow of the movie is not at all due to the character's actions. It's like he's just going with the flow. There are people randomly helping him. It's like it felt a little bit convenient to me. It's like too many things just happen because the plot has to progress.
It is fascinating how many people would have been triggered by that last para or whatever that's.
Yeah, and like all of the things that you mentioned are specifically why I like Ghibli. So yeah, like okay.
No, so one thing that Hayao Miyazaki does not hide is that in a lot of interviews I've noticed that he says that these movies are specifically designed, like not designed, but made for children, right? But the entire idea is the universal appeal that comes from it. Just because there are a lot of places and scenes that come off as much more deeper than what you would see at the first glance. So, so this might be a little departure from what Rathi said. So let's come back to that. So, Kshitij, I think you have a lot of things to add.
Yeah. So the thing that you mentioned, like the characters are ordinary. So that's one of the things that Miyazaki or Ghibli tries to keep consistency in across all the movies. So they want the main character protagonist to be as human as possible. Like they can be in some faraway world, like in a magical setting and all, but the main character and the other characters as well, they all have flaws and their different shortcomings, and the story is all about their experience. They are growing through those initial stage and emerging as a new person. So I think you generally don't like this kind of movies, so that's why you may have outgrown Ghibli.
And rather than that, what I get a feeling was that Rathi, having watched so many Ghibli movies in such a short amount of time, might have also played a role in this.
Maybe.
That is also possible.
And Rathi, just one more thing. And I don't know, but then everything that you actually described right now was, I don't know, felt a lot of stemming from your inherent dislike for Princess Mononoke. I don't know why I get that feeling. So do you want to discuss about that at first?
So before we go to Mononoke, it's like, it's not my problem. My problem is not with the characters being ordinary or plain. So the characters have personality, that's fine. My main problem is the plot is not character driven and, like, let's say, Spirited Away. So majority of the plot points are because of some external force or some other character causing them to happen. Yeah, but it's never the girl who's actively seeking out ways to restore her parents or to get out from that place. And secondly, you talked about the human nature, right?
Yeah.
So while I definitely agree that the human nature and universality portrayed is excellent. There is also a minor point that I have, is that the ideas and emotions portrayed are rather basic. So if you have something basic and you go to the basic level, it will end up unique. It is when you deal with the intricate problems of adult life, that is when maybe such a setting would not suffice. But then Hayao Miyazaki being Hayao Miyazaki, I won't put it past him.
And coming to the
sorry.
Okay.
2 points that I wanted to ask. Ek tha, like, what do you mean by emotions being basic and not basic?
It's like, let's say you are an adult, and then maybe some of the things that you would be dealing with are, let's say, problems in your marriage or financial woes.
Okay.
So that is not something that we have here. So what we have in, let's say, I'll take Spirited Away again.
Yeah.
So in Spirited Away, what are her major problems? One, being lost in a fantasy land and not knowing what's going around.
Yeah.
And second, little bit of depression because her parents are now pigs.
Yes.
So yeah.
So my take on that is like, isn't she a just 10-year-old girl?
No, see, that is what he...
Wait.
Sorry.
Like, the story is surrounded around her, and like, being a 10-year-old girl, how can she possibly find a way on her own in an unknown world to save her family who has turned into pigs? So obviously she will need some help from other peoples. So maybe
that is not an issue. Sure, she needs help. So let's compare it with Alice in Wonderland.
One minute. Okay. See, I don't, Kshitij, what I feel that Rati does not have an issue with her being a 10-year-old girl, and so they are not exploring emotion. He understands that.
Yep.
What he's saying is that something more quote-unquote complicated could have been shown. And that, what I would argue is that the way they go about showing Chihiro, how she goes into the new world, the curiosity that you see. So the entire childlike mind has been very well captured in Spirited Away. At least that's what I feel. So, what I am saying, when you say something that is basic or something that is complicated, I don't really think that you could apply such a category to emotions, right? Like, especially these kind of emotions, because what a child goes through in such a scenario is very important. Because see, when she meets that spider-legged guy at the first time, you see that she's very frightened of him, but then slowly you see her grow closer to him as and when she gets to realize that he's actually a very kind-hearted person. So why would you not classify that as a say complicated development and not an issue when you would say something like a marriage issue?
So, see, my major gripe is not with that development. My major gripe, the development does not happen because of her actions at all.
On that point, that was the second thing that I actually wanted to get into. So
it's like, how does she get to that spider-legged guy? It is because the prince, that river dragon, whatever his name is, I forgot.
Yeah.
So he sends her there and tells her to find work.
Yeah.
She goes there, she is unable to find work as far as I could see, and is basically rescued because the other lady walks.
So to that point, what I would argue is that the entire point of Spirited Away is that initially she does not take initiative into her own hands, and then she's essentially just getting shuttled around here and there, whatever people give her she does just to survive, right? But towards the end, when you see that when
the train scene,
going to the train scenes, like she on her own initiatives goes to the get the antidote or whatever that was for the river dragon person. I'm really bad with names. So the entire purpose of the movie is to show Chihiro's growth from somebody who does not take initiative to somebody who actually grows and takes initiative.
And she didn't while going to the witch's place, she also didn't know how would she come back, because the ticket was a one-way ticket. So the coming back,
she never cared about it.
No. She mentioned when the spider-legged guy mentioned it is a one-way ticket. So she was okay, I'll just walk the whole way back.
Yes.
That's childish. And but she still had the courage to go to the witch's place, being uncertain of her returning, and that, in my opinion, is growth.
In my opinion, that was not calculated decisions.
Yeah.
It was just impulsive emotional decision.
See, whatever, whether it was a calculated decision or whether it was an impulsive decision, it was a decision which she took, and which I felt was the main point of the movie, where she goes from something that is just shuttled around to a point where she takes her own decisions based on what she wants.
Yeah.
So my major problem with I don't know if I would say problem, but the thing that doesn't set with me is that you categorize this movie as not tackling complicated emotions. But then obviously it's a standoff the voice.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and then returning to emotions, and then we have movies like Whisper of Heart, in which one of the critical things that some of us are also facing, deciding what to do or what to pursue in our lives. So that's an interesting thing that they have tackled in that movie.
I don't think you're going to have the same problems with Whisper of the Heart and Porco Rosso. I think these are problems you have with Spirit.
I really like Whisper of the Heart because of that. Porco Rosso was one step higher, and then looking back, I'll say Princess Mononoke is the best, although I still have a lot of problems with it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, in terms of dealing with stuff that is supposedly out of league.
Yeah.
Wait. Do you want to rate the enjoyment of the 4 movies at this point of time?
My enjoyment rating would be different from the rating that I would give, the general rating, which movie is better. Get my point?
I do get your point, but I don't see. You would recommend Princess Mononoke to other people, but you don't like it. Is that what you're saying?
No, as a show, as a movie that I would like to watch again, or maybe enjoyed watching, would not be Princess Mononoke first. But as a movie that delves into something complex, or that is a great work of art.
Enjoyment. I'm asking for enjoyment.
So enjoyment, not Princess Mononoke.
Okay, rate.
Most likely
because I don't think we have mentioned people who read the show notes.
So,
yeah.
Enjoyment personally would be Whisper of the Heart first, then Spirited Away. I think after that I would put Porco Rosso, and then Princess
Grave of the Fireplace.
And Grave of the Fireplace is not on the enjoyment list.
What?
It's not on the enjoyment list.
Wait, it's not?
On the enjoyment list?
Okay. Okay. Let us rephrase enjoyment to the feeling that you both know what I'm trying to capture but can't put to words.
No, please elaborate.
Okay. So, Kshitij, what is your takes?
On the enjoyment part,
I think let's drop Grave of the Fireplace.
Yeah, so it depends what people like and how they.
What you like?
Okay, what I like. Yeah. So first will be Whisper of Heart, then Princess Mononoke, then Porco Rosso, then Spirited Away.
Okay.
And then Grave of Fireplace.
I thought we weren't putting enjoyment Grave on this list. So you can't put Rati made a good point. Rati made a good point. You can't put it on the enjoyment list.
Yeah,
yes.
It depends on the mood.
It is a slow roast of your heart.
Yeah, but sometimes you wanna get your heart roasted.
Then you watch silent. You don't watch this. That's a different discussion. I think we should come to that point later.
Not.
And I'll obviously say what I think. I don't really know at this point which I would rate higher between Porco Rosso and Whisper of the Heart. Then third comes Spirited Away, and last my Mononoke. Okay.
Yeah.
So Mononoke seems to be a very controversial point at this point of time. And I think Kshitij should go after we both have said why we don't like it that much. Well, my main issue is that these two movies are very dense with a lot of themes for me to have enjoyed it as well.
I personally don't think Spirited Away is that dense.
Yeah.
Okay, no, like Spirited Away, you see so many articles talking about the train scene, like, oh, this is this,
Yeah.
oh, this is this, oh, this is this. I personally couldn't
Yeah.
connect to that. I'm like, that was a train scene.
Okay.
It had a good soundtrack.
So, having not read any of those articles, I did not find the train scene special.
Exactly.
as
So
such.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the train scene. Like, so it doesn't have any purpose like to have the scene that long in the movie, which is already being stretched out to nearly 2 hours. But it's there for give the audience the place to breathe and to connect with the characters. So Miyazaki's philosophy called Ma, like the emptiness or empty places, empty spaces. Yeah. So what he does is that in each of the Ghibli films, you would have seen a wide-angle shot or some scene of nature that's there for like 4 to 5 seconds without any reason. Some pan shots of the city or flying around. So that are there to let the audience breathe. Because in most of the Western movies, like or in general movies, like people don't like silence because silence makes you uncomfortable. It's sort of an ominous feeling to it. But in Ghibli films, silence has a different meaning. Like their take on silence is different. They give it as like it helps you the audience.
breather.
Yeah, it helps you to connect with the world, the audience. Like you notice different things in that particular 5 seconds about the world that generally you wouldn't have noticed if it would have been a fast-paced shot.
see, my issue, quote unquote, with Ma, there's no issue for that. What I feel is that anime in general very nicely embodies the concept of Ma, the way
Yeah.
Miyazaki defines it, and I don't really feel it is a very Ghibli oriented thing. Anime in general goes out of their way having all these wide angle shots and all that. My
Yeah.
specific gripe with it was that was an unnaturally long scene. Okay, I liked it. It had a nice mood to it. It had a nice thing, but I did not read so as deep as other people had read it. So obviously, this ranking is relative. It's not that it's a relative ranking of Ghibli movies, which are in general very good. Disclaimer: I just preferred the problems and themes and how they were presented in Porco Rosso and Whispers of the Heart because they had a small set of things that they had central and they had small things that branched out. So you could essentially focus on. But you don't really need to go ahead, read millions of articles to finally appreciate what it was.
Yeah.
For Princess Mononoke, I think you need to read some articles.
You definitely. I didn't
Seriously?
understand half of the things. Hey, wait, we completely forgot about
First,
Howl's Castle.
first watch, it was like, why?
Shit.
What
yeah.
are you deciding?
We completely forgot about Howl.
Yeah. Howl's Moving Castle?
Okay, updating list.
I'm not satisfied with the end.
Why?
So, enjoyment.
Uh-huh.
Updated list. I think I'll slot in Howl's after Porco and before Princess one.
Okay.
So second list.
Kshitij?
It would be below Porco Rosso. So I think in my list it would be third.
Wait, Kshitij, you ranked Spirited Away last.
Yeah.
And Porco is... So you wanted between Porco and Spirited Away.
No.
See, you're...
Yeah.
So, second...
Shreyas?
I'll put Howl last. Howl for me is an incomplete story and a bad adaptation of the book.
Have you read the book?
No, I have read comparisons.
Okay.
And I am sad because having read the comparisons, Howl's Moving Castle is a book that I want to read.
Oh.
I see.
Although there are so many things that are not touched on in the movie. By God. Like, I have notes over here just in case.
Okay.
And every one of my problems that I had with Howl's the movie is addressed in Howl's the book. So, yeah.
Fair point.
I think the reason why like Ghibli did such poor thing with House is mostly because like, especially Miyazaki, when he starts the movie, he doesn't have a script. So they just start with a storyboard, and most of the film is made without any dialogues, and then in the end the dialogues are added, or at the end of storyboarding. So the story keeps improving, it keeps changing, and the visuals are enough to make you connect with the story. So when you add audio on top of that, like it just enhances the experience.
Yeah, and
so Howl being an adaptation, so I think they couldn't pull this thing off.
That's it, right? In Howl's, what most people liked about it was the visuals and the soundtrack, right? Which is definitely very nice.
Yes.
But yeah, personally, I couldn't really connect because I was like, what is going on? Why is this happening?
So, I think visuals, the overarching Ghibli, we can say visuals are excellent, top-notch.
Visuals are excellent, top-notch, but वही है कि मतलब Howl's, when you compare it to Porco Rosso and Spirited Away, definitely was better in both aspects, in my opinion.
I thought Spirited Away was better.
Sorry, Porco Rosso and Whisper of the Heart. I'm not comparing Mononoke and Spirited Away. They're different class.
No, but then Porco Rosso and Whisper of the Heart are set in reality, right? It is not a fantastic land.
You have a pig who is flying aircraft.
So that is a different.
You have a pig that's fine. That's just one character. But the rest of the world is realistic. Same with Whisper of the Heart. In fact, Whisper of the Heart, you could like take some snips and then pass it off as a picture of Tokyo or some Japanese city maybe.
No. So what I am trying to say is like visuals wise. So like you could also like what I am trying to compare is like if you look at quality wise, right? If you take something like Whisper of the Heart and say Your Name, they are technically set in reality only, right? But you see a clear difference in quote unquote quality.
Yeah.
So Whisper of the Heart 2001.
See, that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about how the release was. I'm just taking at this point of time when I watched it, visually and audio. I don't know what is the audio counterpart of it. Both Howl was better. I did not really like the soundtrack of Porco Rosso that much.
Yeah.
But still, Howl failed adaptation. Sadly.
Yep.
Do you want to know Do you want to know about what exactly happens?
Sure.
So apparently, in Howl, there is a war going on between 3 countries or 2 countries. So there is a war going on, right? And the war started because one of the countries lost their prince.
Yeah, that's the turnip. The Scarecrow.
Right? So the Scarecrow was about turned into a prince, and the entire war was being fought around him.
Yep.
And I was like, why?
Wait. Wait, Shrez, they have hinted about it at the end of the movie, no?
At the end of the movie, I'm like...
At the end, you just know that he's a prince of another kingdom. You don't know why.
See, and even if you hinted, if there is a movie where war plays a central theme to it, and you do not establish why that war is happening in the first place, I don't like it that much. Like Miyazaki,
it just leaves with a lot of question marks.
The book does not have war in the first place. The war is completely in. I talked about it. He put it for the sole purpose of, like essentially there was some war that was going on, I guess, between Japan and some country, and to speak out against it. So I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So obviously I'll be attaching the side-by-side comparison in the show notes. So yeah.
By the way, wasn't Ghibli audio, like the audio of Ghibli films, a kind of like outwardly or relaxing or peaceful?
I did not find it. Like those adjectives never popped in my head while
Okay.
watching or listening.
Yeah.
What did pop was that the audio is very fitting to the
Yeah.
never felt out of place. One particular snippet that I noticed was in Whisper of the Heart. There is that initial scene where the boy ridicules her lines,
Hmm.
cement roads and all that,
Yeah, yeah,
and then she comes back and she's all angry.
yeah.
So there's a small tune that's going on at that point, which kind of really stood out to me.
Okay.
And the way that it stops right at the point when she slaps it, that was something that I thought was a nice touch.
Yes, so actually that thing is present in almost all of the Ghibli films.
Yeah,
Like,
but I never noticed those,
ah,
except here.
Like Kshitij is a proper Ghibli fanboy, no?
Yeah, maybe 500 watches later.
no.
No. See,
Ghibli,
Ghibli is a good
yeah.
thing. It's not. It's just might not.
Yeah. So, what do we conclude?
Hey, no.
Princess Mononoke is too deep for a movie.
Wait, and another thing that I actually wanted to point out in Porco Rosso specifically is like,
Hmm.
1 second. So the airplane parade that happens in the movie, right? So the place
The dream sequence.
where he goes about the
Yeah.
all the airplanes are going. That is a part that like really stood out.
So, minor note. That part is kind of adapted from a Roald Dahl novel.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So, like an almost exact scene has been depicted in a Roald Dahl novel.
Mhm.
Like a pilot who's in the war goes into kind of like the afterlife, sees planes and all that
yeah.
flying above.
See, I don't know, specifically Porco Rosso felt a little different from the other Ghibli movies that we watched for some reason, at least to me.
So, Porco Rosso was initially aimed at adults and not kids.
Hmm.
And I think it's the only Ghibli movie to do that.
No. We have like The Wind Rises.
Yes.
So it's also
One
like,
of the
what?
ones. Wind Rises is very recent.
Huh.
No?
Yeah.
It's surprising. Both movies about planes are targeted towards adults.
And there's whole thing like
Planes are for
Planes are for adults.
Miyazaki has like, if you look in almost all of the Ghibli films, you have the element of flight, like whether it be a flying creature or airplanes or airships, it is there.
Did you know that Ghibli is
Yeah.
actually a plane?
Wait,
Yeah, the studio is named after some plane or something.
oh,
Oh,
Okay,
the Ghibli fanboy didn't know it.
interesting.
no. I'm more into it because of the stories and the design
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all the
yeah.
things. Yeah.
World design though. My God. Imaginative world designs.
Yeah, like in the interview, Miyazaki was like, he just asked the interviewer to come towards the window and just showed him like how much fun it would be to like jump across those roofs, like how enjoying it would be to like climb up the pole. How would the world look from like if you're soaring up high in the sky? And he's like, all of these things can be made possible in using animations. So that's one of the reasons why like the world looks so nice and outwardly maybe.
For me, actually, the entire allure for Ghibli lies in how humanly realistic they make everything. No matter, like, I'm not talking about how realistic it is in terms of like you have hair moving, grass swaying,
Yeah.
not in that way, but
Yeah.
every action that the character takes, every sound design, every scene placement, they have this sense of realism. So like you have these small scenes like Chihiro, when she puts on her shoe, she taps twice. Then you have that in Porco Rosso. You have that the Air Force people, they have this swagger, right? All these pilots, they have this swagger. So how nicely that is depicted. So there's like small things like that actually make Ghibli stand. Another point in Whisper of the Heart, when the main girl, she goes to her friend's house, while they're going up, her friend quietly whispers, "My dad and I are not talking." So like these small things are the things that actually.
Yes, so that's the thing they're trying to do. They're making the fantasy world as much connected from like as an extension of the reality. So
yeah, but I wouldn't really look at it that way. Fantasy world is an extension for reality. I'm just talking about the realism and the efforts that they put into it is something that draws me to their movies.
Yeah.
And then, are we talking about the cat from Whisper of the Heart?
Yeah.
Oh, the cat. Oh, the cat.
Damn that cat, man. Cat is smart enough to ride trains. Nice.
Yes. Means we have cats that are smart enough to like use elevators.
We do.
But then,
It was an IT bomb.
So what that cat reminded me is like when the girl first saw her and then she goes basically the entire town chasing after her. That reminds me of Nisarg. Even chasing after a cat.
I thought you were going to say Alice in Wonderland. I'm like, what did just happen?
I think that was the first thing that reminded me. It's like, okay, people actually do this.
Oh my god.
Sure. I mean, it is a bit unnatural, right? You don't just go running after a cat.
Maybe you can.
But I was connecting it to, she has a novel, she has a very mind that searches story in every aspect of her life.
Yeah.
She saw a cat in a train, she was genuinely interested. Nisarg did not pop into my mind.
Yeah, definitely not.
Sure. I mean, like, I can imagine him talking to a cat sitting next to him.
That is another person.
Like, yo, bro, where you going, bro?
That is another person, you know.
Yeah.
Especially two.
Okay, now I'm confused.
Akhil and Anish.
Like Anish talking to a cat, I'm not going to even look at it twice.
Yeah. I won't expect him to follow a cat around the city.
He's like, okay, you're not following me? Okay, go. I had so many points to make that just ruined everything.
The power of Nisarg.
Like what? How do I segue that into women empowerment? How do I do that?
Regarding that, there is apparently a test.
Okay.
So in movies, I can't remember the name, but then in movies it's like if that test is passed, then there is sufficient women empowerment shown, and then the test is basically like you have to have at least 2 female characters and they need to do something other than discuss about men or related to men.
Okay, that's nice.
That's very plain, but okay.
I mean, basically you can't basically just show women and then all lovey-dovey and all that and just call it a day.
Obviously, for academic purposes,
You should have
you
something.
need such tests, right? So yeah, you can understand why it's there, but still it's enough.
And in one video, in one interview, like Miyazaki was saying, like he doesn't like the traditional idea of the girl and boy, like who are appearing like are there for like just for the sake of romance, and girl being a damsel in distress who needs the help of a boy, and the story ending in like in both of them being connected or being together. He just wanted like he's more into the feeling like he want the girl and boy to have like something, but it's more like a nurture, like they're encouraging each other to grow, and the nurtured kind of mature kind of a friendly relationship between them, or friendly dynamic between them.
What I was going to talk about was Porco Rosso, but that also works.
Okay.
In Porco Rosso, come on, you have the entire family of women building a plane. Like, what more do you want?
Bro, in Mononoke, you have women like prostitutes / women
Okay, that also.
working on an iron
No, but
furnace.
then Porco Rosso can't be like Porco Rosso. Women empowerment is a consequence of war and not necessarily shown for women empowerment.
Porco Rosso specifically, I will point out not for that. That was a nice add-on, definitely. But what I'd like to say is that, like the designer, right? The girl.
Yeah.
So there was a very nice flow about it, right? Like she wants to design the airplane. The pig is initially hesitant. Like, no, the girl is aware of why he's aware of why he's not interested. He's a little hesitant, right?
Yeah.
So there are so many videos nowadays. Like, you, after having watched all those videos, the first thing I expected the girl to do, why do you not want me to do it? Huh? So, but then the girl very tactfully goes about it. Ki, nahi, see, I have this, I have a drive. At least give me a chance. So, and then she does a good job. So, that's what I'm saying, right?
I think that's
the way
more
they
like
went
a
about it, like the way they went about everything. So, like in every movie, everything is very subtly highlighted, right? So they never put it on your face.
Yes, so I think the way in which she perceived the pig was more kind of a Japanese thing. Like in Japan, they generally like once a director mentioned, like if you have a contract for 3 terms, so they won't equally distribute your pay for each of the terms. They would have the first term with low pay, then an increment, then an increment. Like overall, how much you paid at the end of both of those terms will be same, but the distribution is different. And the thing here is like she wants to show like, okay, give me a chance. I will prove how efficient I am. Like the way she didn't sleep the whole night and worked on the design. And next day after seeing that design, the pig was even more convinced to let her design his plane. So it's the thing, like, let me show you what I can do, but at least give me a chance.
So what was your point?
Yeah, so all of this is kind of a Japanese thing, like.
But what happened on screen was traditional Japanese and not just because she's a girl.
Yeah.
Like, I personally did not feel Porco Rosso showing particularly women empowerment.
Women empowerment. I don't think in other than Mononoke there was any hard emphasis on such a thing. But what
Wait.
I think Spirited Away.
Yes, Howl's Moving Castle also the wizard of the king's wizard. So whole war depend on her. Like at the end, like she was the one to declare like, okay, let's just send a message and end this war. And even the king was like asking her for guidance. And in Spirited, we obviously have the Yugaga like managing the whole bathhouse.
Okay, let's not come up with our own definition of when it is and when it is not. So my point was that I really liked how they went about doing this. I don't know whether it was Japanese thing. I really liked it.
Yeah.
And it was a breath of fresh air to what I have come to expect from recent things.
Yes.
Okay. Such as contrast.
Yeah.
Just type on YouTube, you'll get a lot of things. There was this a video flaming the Catwoman series first episode, which I felt went a little too far, but still, like, so nowadays when people talk about women empowerment, it's like in your face, right?
Yeah, like the Captain Marvel or the woman sequence in Avengers.
See, I have no problem with the woman sequence in Avengers. Let's move by that. That is okay. That was funny. Like, okay, that was fun, right? Like, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the specific scene.
It was too convenient. It was convenient.
It wasn't convenient. I mean, they want a female demographic also, right? They don't want only boys to be buying their merchandise, right? They want females also to buy merchandise, and that was a attempt at that.
Yeah, but it wasn't an organic attempt in the story. Like, it was there for the sake of it.
Yeah, ठीक है.
So
that's it. Like, currently it has become on your face. I don't have issue with the specific scenes that he mentioned, but yeah, it is on your face. So yeah, I agree on that one, that it was still on your face, right? It wasn't an organic attempt at conveying that.
Yeah.
What was on your face?
Captain Marvel and Avengers segments.
No, but then, so my problem with that is Porco Rosso was not made in the current times or any of the Ghibli movies that we are discussing.
Whisper of the Heart?
No. Like, why is that?
2000. Like, so it's not a breath of fresh air, because it's like, if you're saying it's a breath of fresh air, then what I assume is you're talking about something recent that goes away from the current norm. It is not the current norm. Like, it was not the norm.
I'm just talking in my experience of chronology of watching movies. Disclaimer: star.
Like, you would have similar breath of fresh air with any maybe old Western movie as well.
Think a breath of fresh air from my. Let's add a disclaimer. I find Porco Rosso, the way they handle women empowerment in Porco Rosso, a breath of fresh air in the chronology of movies that I have watched.
Okay. So you're saying it's different from the other Ghibli movies you watched? Come on, serious. You need to be more articulate.
Let's.
Okay.
I shouldn't have segued into this.
So we end at a standoff as usual.
It's a misunderstanding in my opinion, but that might be a standoff in its own way.
Most standoffs are misunderstandings.
Touché.